We're live. We are live. And everyone's asking, Dan, where's your lid? Everyone wants to know where the lid's at after Friday night. Here. Go to the baggers. Everyone.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll give no credit to this side ever. I'll give no respect to this side. John Overrook, honorary Blues brother, Will Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Sebastiani, welcome back to the show, mate.
This one game is a build-up of, a year's worth of work.
That's if you think of his performance.
And I gave my opinion.
It's an opinion-based podcast, fair enough. Oh, yeah. Bye-bye, Beanie.
Did you see
Bye-bye,
it?
Beanie. Yeah, bye-bye, Beanie.
I want to explain something to everyone because I'm shaking now from launching that thing. I am. There's one thing, boys, that we haven't been able to do in a long time. And there's a team that's always had it over us for a long time. I know we beat them in COVID that one time, but I'm sorry. That now, what we witnessed on Friday night, an absolute dismantle of Collingwood Football Club is why the lid is we are the best team in the comp. I don't care. I'm done. That's where we're at. Boys, continue.
Well, that's a different way to start.
Best team in the comp for the last 6 weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah. We're going places. That's all I needed to see was Friday. The fake lids are before. Boys, fake lids are before. Now proper. Everyone's saying it. No one can say anything.
Rebello in the comments says it himself, mate. We bullied them, and fucking boy, did we.
Listen, we've done 100. This is 101 episodes now. It's a different way to start the podcast. Tell you that much. Welcome everyone to. He's gone again. He's launched it. He's launched it 6 times. That's where he's at.
It's really off, isn't it?
Yeah. Welcome everyone. Welcome to a big night on this podcast. Episode 101 of the Almost Blues Brothers podcast, brought to you by the Blue Broad Podcast Network and YouTube channel, proudly sponsored by Vortep. Jules got his on. Dan doesn't have his on this week. That's all right. He wears it all day, every day. So that's fine.
Petrov's he's gonna break the contract.
Can I go get changed, put it on? Because I completely forgot.
No, it's fine. It's fine. If you haven't already, visit vortep.com.au, enter Almost Blues Brothers at the checkout. You get 10% off your Vortep gear. Boys, I'm speechless. I'm still genuinely speechless. Since Friday, here we go. Here he is in the chat, Felix. We went to the footy with Felix, an old high school friend of mine. Got us the MCC tickets. First time the MCC on Friday for us, and I can tell everyone something right now that's watching. We don't belong in the MCC.
We'll get looks everywhere.
Felix, I couldn't have thought of a better person to spend Friday night with than Felix, other than you two.
He's a great guy, Felix. Nice to meet you, mate. And what a win.
It was it was special, boys. Honestly, there's no other way to describe it. If you're watching, we'll get to the show and we'll get to the review in a minute, but we're just going to blow a little bit here to start. If you're watching, just one word to describe Friday night. But mine, plain and simple, special.
Yeah.
Are we giving a word?
I don't know. Just lost for words, to be honest. It's hard to explain.
Euphoria.
Yeah. Has to be. Biblical. Just fucking biblical, man.
Biblical. That's a good one. Yeah. I like that.
Just like if you wanted to pan out anyway, like that was it, wasn't
it? We exercised the demons, is what we did. That was the final mental hurdle for this group. I truly believe it. Like that is you. If you're not a Carlton supporter, right, you don't understand it. You don't understand what that means, especially after last year. Regardless of the rivalry, like the rivalry is what it is, but after round 23, you cannot describe to anyone and explain to anyone and expect them to understand what that means for us and what that means for this group, boys.
Yeah, I think it's insane. Like, particularly for like psychologically for the boys, even for the coaching staff. I think having a win like that at this time of the season, especially after having so many players out in the last couple of weeks, and sort of obviously in terms of the systems and structures that we did have in place. fuck, everything just went right, like on the night, didn't it? You
Yeah.
know, even like Chero going off, but then Dow was able to come on, do all the right things. You know, fuck, we have buy-in, don't we? We have genuine buy-in. It's
I think-
insane the turnaround over the last 6 weeks. Insane.
I think what we've all been searching for so long is we're finally seeing a team, a
Yeah.
group of individuals that would genuinely bleed for each other.
Yeah.
And now there's belief. Now there's belief. And now there's buy-in, as you mentioned, Jules. The sky is the limit for this group.
Yeah. Do you know what the thing is as well? You have a go through the stats on the weekends, and I know obviously in the other games when we're battering teams, you know, all the midfielders had like 20, 25, 30 odd possessions. I know Chero went off early. All right. I think he only played what, half, maybe not even.
40% time on ground.
Yeah. So 40% time on ground, had 20. I reckon he would have been the only player, if he did complete the match, that would have finished with plus 20 possessions.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Every other
Listen,
midfielder was below that. I think
listen,
Newman was the only one that was 27. Everyone else below. That's ridiculous for midfielders. Insane.
we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it in a minute. But you know, usually we start this very, very calm. Look, Jules got a wine. Fucking beautiful, man. This is where we're at tonight. It's unbelievable. I just had snits. We're just calm. It's really good. It's really good. But before we do get there, if you're new, welcome. It's a good night to be new. Episode 101. If you're returning, welcome back. Thanks for sticking through. This is why you stick through for nights like this. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at Almost Blues Brothers. If you also haven't followed us on Twitter, we just hit 1,000 Twitter followers tonight, boys. So very nice. Going along very nicely. And if you haven't, follow us there at Almost Blues Bros. And while you're here, like the video and subscribe to the Blue Broad YouTube channel. Helps all of us. Dan.
Do you know why we all are acting this way? Because I feel this year, and boys, you tell me if you agree, Essendon for me was the lowest I've ever felt with this football club. That Essendon game.
You were genuinely broken after that game.
Completely broken at that Essendon game. And to now have this, I don't even know what to say. I'm just, the way this group has turned this around for whatever reason and whatever they've done is a credit to everyone at the Carlton Football Club. It is honestly a credit to the whole club. Because now what they have done for this for all of us as members and supporters is honestly the best feeling in the world. This weekend has been the best feeling in the world. I've watched the replay 5 times.
Yeah. Look, let's just do this without any further ado. Jules.
Oof. Let's get into it.
Match report. And I've never been prouder to read this out. Final scores. Collingwood 10-16, 76. The mighty Carlton Football Club 14-9, 93 at the MCG in front of 87,000. And by the time there was about 10 minutes left in the last quarter, there was 25,000 Carlton supporters left standing and not one Collingwood supporter in sight. Fuck you. First fuck you for the night. Goals for the Blues. Chincotta, Owies, Gov, 1 each. Motlop with 2, Martin with 3, and Charlie Curnow with 6. Boys, tonight is a night of receipts. We've copped it from this mob for too long. Way too long. They got what they deserved Friday. And I can't sum it up any better than this.
It doesn't get any better than that, champion. I'll tell you what. To put up with the shit that we've put up with for the last few years, it's been a fucking nightmare. We hate it, right? Then to come out and pump these assholes who have done nothing but put shit on us for so long. Get a big dog up, you Collingwood. You fucking deserve it. Fuck you all.
Yeah.
Bang.
Fuck you all.
Hey, It's our time.
Oh, mate.
It's our time.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, right now, it's what it feels like. It's that's 6 on the trot, boys. We have not. I said this to you, Dan. We in our lifetime, we've essentially never seen 6 in a row. That's a fact.
Hmm.
That's a fact. With this club has never won 6 in a row, basically for the entirety that we've been here, or that we can remember anyway. We did it without our best 22. They did it with theirs at full strength. Chera off halftime, like you said, Jules, no problem. Paddy Dow comes in, plays a massive role in that last quarter, especially.
Yeah.
If any question they asked us, we answered in spades. In spades. And they should be, you know what? They should be fucking embarrassed. Honestly, they should be embarrassed with the carry-on that comes out of that club, and that's the performance they dish up against a half-strength Carlton. They should be fucking embarrassed. That's all I'm going to say. And I say it with pride. I don't care. I don't care.
Fuck.
Take it away. Just take it away. Tonight's not a night for me of stats and whatnot. You're not going to get stats out of me tonight, I promise you. This is just a night of emotion. That's all it is.
Yeah. Like, where did it all start for you? Because I think early on, I would say, I mean, I wasn't nervous in the sense that I still thought we would get our game going, but obviously they kicked what? I think it was like 14-0 at some stage or something like that. They kicked 2 pretty early.
I'll shit myself all game, man.
Jules, have you ever seen someone at the footy more stressed from bell to bell?
Nah, do you know? Because I'm sitting between you, yeah. Like,
You were too.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it for the audience. I'm there. You got Joe who's just biting his fingernails, and you got Dan who's just with his knee just like this over the course of the game. And then you just got me just chilling.
I don't bite my nails anymore. I'll take that back.
You got none left.
I've done a very good job. No. I've done a very good job this year.
It's because I felt like we knew the importance of that game. That was the turning point for this football club. Yet on Friday, and I feel like every one of us that was there was riding every tackle and every kick. It was just something incredible. It really was. It really was. And to hear Collingwood supporters go, it meant nothing to us because we're first allowed up. Bullshit. And now the mental battle's changed now again because they'll know that when we play them in the finals, how confident's that? When we play them in the finals.
Yeah.
There's going to be doubt in their mind.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond now.
I know this. We don't want to talk about Collingwood too much, but I think it was Gav actually that said it in the comments here. Was it Gavin? Someone said it. Yeah, Gav Whelan, long-time listener. Port Adelaide and Carlton have provided the blueprint to beat them. Pressure on the kicker and they shoot bricks. I had pretty much the exact same thing written down. There's a blueprint
Melbourne
now.
as well. Melbourne bet them.
And Melbourne as well.
Lost 2 games.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you want to go into stats?
Not just yet. All I wanted to say was just wait. That's a good. I'll get to your calc in a minute. But it's true. We are one of 3 teams that have exposed them. You put pressure on them, they turn to water. And I'm sorry, this run and gun. I've said it for a long, long time. Go back through the Twitter. How many times I've said it? This chaos run and gun brand of football only stacks up if you've got a contested side to you, and we fucking demoralize them in contested work.
They don't have a plan B.
There's nothing.
You can see their plan A like no tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we're plus 10 in clearances and like plus 30 in contested possessions. Like, you know, you have that plus the forward half, I guess, talent that we do have within Charlie, Mackay, even Motlop to a certain extent. I think his game's going on to another level over the last, 2-3 weeks. But just between them, like, the game's done.
It was the selflessness to work for your teammate.
Yeah.
How many times we saw Newman, Chincotta, anyone in the team work for their teammate time and time. Ollie Hollands, I saw a passage of play where he ran D50, spoil, and then actually created a score involvement in the one play.
Yeah. Even Martin, he had a pretty big, a few big efforts as well. Just incredible, just to see what he does as well. Particularly, obviously playing up the half forward with the likes of Cunners and Fogg. I think they had, I think it was like 13, 14 tackles inside forward 50 again to their 7 or 8. Obviously, it helps when you're getting inside 50s like you do. But it just goes to show the amount of effort in which they do put in
Boys,
to help the boys around them.
Jules, go into your stat after this, but this is first on the ladder that we made a mockery of.
It's not just
process that.
it's not just first on the ladder, and this is why I'm so over the moon with what we saw Friday. It's first on the ladder, right? And there's this fake humble arrogance about them that they know right that that they have been the best in the league so far, right, to this point in the season. They do, right? But there's this fucking fake humble arrogance that's run its course. It's done. You put pressure on this group and they crumble, and we did it in spades.
Yeah.
And you can keep this fucking receipt from me if you're watching and you're a Collingwood fan. Keep this to the end of the year. You will not win the flag because your brand of footy is bruise-free. You don't like the contest and you want it all downhill skiing, run and gun all day, and it doesn't work when the pressure gets put on. It's plain and simple, boys. And in that same breath, I'll say this. The fact that we've got our contested game going, and Jules, I know you're about to go into a couple of stats that might back this up, but the fact that we've got our contested game going, the fact that we've got our offensive game going, and the fact that our defensive game is so fucking tight makes us a genuine threat come finals. Not just we can cause some damage. We should now be considered a threat if we can continue playing the way we're playing.
Amen, Joseph.
Yeah,
Jules.
I think our well balanced, man. At the moment, we are very well balanced. Always had defensive game, obviously on our I guess on our way. Let's get into it.
Can I hit your sting?
Yeah. So, we know offense wins you games. Defense, you know what wins, boys? Premierships. Okay, so Carlton, we're 5th. All right, so we're 5th in the AFL for scores against per entry. We're 6th through inside 50s against. And the last 15 out of the last 18 premiership sides, all right, are in these stats. Okay? All right? In these stats. Now, there's 2 teams in the competition right now. They are Melbourne and Collingwood.
Collingwood or Carlton?
Carlton.
What on earth?
He fucked
All right,
it.
so all I'm saying is, boys, we're onto something in a big, big way. All right. Voss always said, a defensive game, we need to work on our defensive game, and not worry about our offense because our offense will come. And boy, was he fucking bang on.
Yeah, good there, Jules. Joe, edit that bit out because it just
it's fine. We'll make mistakes.
Boys, you know what? You can obviously see there's a massive buy-in from the boys. They're galvanized massively towards what we're doing. Now, I wanted to mention this because a lot of people have mentioned to me that the system's changed. But I watched us do what we were trying to do first half of the year. Okay. And don't get me wrong, the contested game of what we're doing is back, and we're getting the ball inside 50 in better areas, and Charlie's making a mockery of every defender that plays on him. All right. And we're hitting the scoreboard. Okay. But I'm watching us finally be able to have the players to execute this chip mark, carve teams open, and get the ball inside 50 in the way in which we're looking to do in the first half of the season.
Yeah, you know what, man? You called me yesterday and you said that. When did you call me or did you text? I can't remember.
No,
you said it to me. You said it to me yesterday, and it's bang on. I saw it as well. This is that sustainable brand that they were talking about at the start of the year to be able to slow the game down and keep it on your terms. But if you can execute it, you can damage teams on the counter as well, which is what we saw.
Yeah. We are moving it quicker though.
We are definitely. You can see that there's an intent to move it quicker, but we have the players to execute that.
Yeah,
we have the players that actually want to do it.
It's so clean.
we're not playing with fear, and we're playing on instinct. Jules, remember how we said with Hollands, just play what you see, play on instinct. Every one of us do it now, and it's whether it's instinct to go long, like Dow, and we'll talk about him later because like I have to apologize because I've been hard on him, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Yeah, I've still got my reservations on him, but we'll move on. But I saw us play with instinct to use the corridor or take that short kick or look sideways to go forward, and this is things that we're trying to do, but now we're executing and we're hitting the scoreboard. Yeah. Every goal in that fourth, we thought they were getting a goal, 2 goals, and they were piling the ball inside 50 very easily, but we'd have a reply. These are things we weren't doing, and now we are.
It's spot on. It's spot on. The execution in the way that we're moving the ball, we're moving it quicker, we're moving it with more confidence. They're all playing for each other. There's a passage of play on Carlton's Instagram from Jack Martin, and it was when he actually received the ball from Ollie Hollands inside 50. But the start of that play started with him in the back half and his gut running to make sure he stayed goal side of his Collingwood defender, get from D50 to inside 50, still create space to get to a lead and get hit on the chest. It summarizes the way that we are playing at the moment, that all 22 that step out there are playing for each other at the moment. It's selfless. There's gut running. There's pressure. It's all of the basics that 8 weeks ago we were screaming to see. The basics, effort and work rate. It was all there. Like we're seeing that now. It was there on Friday and it's been there for the last 6 weeks. And you could say what you want. It was only Gold Coast. It was only Hawthorn. Port had however many outs. You can't say anything now. There's nothing left to be said. They have shown it themselves. They've proven it to themselves more than anyone that if you show up and you play your way and you play that brand, we can literally now beat anyone in this comp. Anyone, boys. That's it.
It's funny. I've been saying it for a while. I think most of us have been saying it for a while that we do have the talent on our list. Is just whether we're going to be able to produce it for long enough. And I think this last 6 weeks, we've had obviously a very, very good patch, haven't we? Now we just need to go on from here, really. We just need to go on with it. Obviously starting with St Kilda next weekend.
We do. Ur, you're a legend. $15 again, another donation from Ur. Loving how we play. Saints next. We are them big time. We do. We'll get to the Saints a little bit later on.
Whoever hasn't watched it, go to Voss's presser and look at how shocked he is with our performance. He gets asked, "What do you think of that?" And he couldn't answer it because it was. I think it genuinely surpassed what he even thought we could produce. And then he spoke about coaches having conversations in that shit patch with each other, players having conversations which we know were had, the leadership having conversations with themselves and players, and then coaches to players. And because of that, and these are the conversations that we were asking for, boys. And look at the result. Look at the result. And you know what? Some players have had the harsh reality of maybe they're not good enough and maybe they're not part of our plans. But look at what it's done for the majority of our group and the 22 that step up week in, week out over the last, 6 weeks? And I'm going to give myself a bit of a quiet time because I'm blowing too much after this. But
yeah, it's all relevant because the Voss Pressers won. The Voss Pressers won. But I listened to Paddy Cripps on Triple M on Saturday. On the Saturday rub, he was on at about 12:15. I was in the car driving. It was perfect. They had him on. And they asked him very similar questions, Dan, around. So you got Voss in the post-match that alludes to conversations. They asked Cripps about this Torquay bonfire at the Curno's farm, which is just going to live in folklore with this club from now on. Because whatever happened that night, I don't know what happened. We don't know the exact conversations, but they asked him specifically about whether or not that's been a catalyst. And his answer was basically yes. There were very, very honest conversations had there with each other. They all aligned. They all got on the same page about what they want to be. And between them, as a group of players, they galvanized each other. And it gives me goosebumps to think about that this group is that unified now versus where they were 8 weeks ago. Because 8 weeks ago, you could just see that there was no connection. It was, but like while she spoke about it, there's no connection. We're lacking connection, this and that. You can't question that now, boys. You can't question it.
In the presser, Voss did allude to himself and the coaching staff questioning each other and having accountability towards each other, but the massive accountability towards the leadership group as well.
Yeah.
And like obviously Walsh has been injured obviously last week or so. Obviously, against West Coast, he was out pretty early on. But before that, arguably his best patch of the season. Wiedering's having his, I reckon his career best form, to be honest with you. I think all year he's been pretty good. I think first half of the year, possibly by foot, he wasn't the best, but boy, he's winning everything at the moment. And then Cripps at the moment in the last 4 or 5 weeks has been inspirational as well. So in terms of those three, obviously captain, vice captains, arguably, they set the standards. They set the standards and everyone else is obviously following. So, so props to them as well.
This is a good comment from sorry, Dan, from Zainab. There was this report after the Sydney game that Wieders was the one that stepped up in the rooms after Matheson had his blow up and whatnot. And he was the one that said, this is on us. It's on us and we're going to fix this. Don't come for the coaches. Don't come for Voss. This is on us. And that was reported. And I'll tell you what, Jacob Wiedering, he'll be the All-Australian fullback without a doubt in my mind. Won't be Darcy Moore. He might play back pocket to him. But Jacob Wiedering will be the All-Australian fullback at this point in time. There's no doubt in my mind. And Jacob Wiedering on Friday night, to encapsulate this change, go back and watch the last quarter, the last 3 minutes. There's 2 times you see Wieders screaming at his defenders and everyone else up the ground. And when I say scream, like he's losing it at players that might not be in the position that they need to be in, losing it until they get to where they need to be. That there was not something that we saw for the first 14 weeks. What did we see, boys? We saw pats on the bum, pats on the head. It's okay. Move on to the next one. This is accountability at its fucking finest, boys. At its finest.
It is standards.
Yep.
They understand that the be-all and end-all is winning a premiership. And if you do not, I even heard it in Voss's pressure, the tone has now changed. And even him, he even started to speak about finals and a premiership when supposedly before that wasn't our aim. No, like the standards of everyone is a lot higher. The accountability is a lot higher because we know what the objective finally is with this football club and what it means to play for this football club is to be successful. And I'm telling you right now, we are going to go far. I've seen enough. We honestly have. And boys, I said this, Joe, to you, and I said that what I've seen now is enough for me to say that if we do lose games, I have massive belief still in this group, and that won't be changed for me anymore. It won't.
For me as well, the way it's looking, we're going to make finals. Okay?
Hopefully.
If you're any team in the 8 playing us, even if you've got a double chance or not, they're not going to be happy. I can assure you. And any other team. I'm telling you, because we're in red hot form at the moment, and obviously the stats back it up.
It's so funny. 6 weeks ago after the Gold Coast game, where there was a little bit of a flicker of hope, and we saw something different. We go, oh, maybe it's a Kickstarter, right? And we all sat here, and I remember saying, why can't there's teams in the past that have been like Richmond, they make a run. Bulldogs, they make a run. Melbourne, they make a run. And you don't want to play them when they're in that sort of form and momentum. But for some reason, we're always the team that at round 14, we're talking about trades and draft picks and whatnot. Why couldn't it be us? I'll tell you now, boys, it's fucking us right now.
Yeah, it's
right now. It's us. We are genuinely that team.
Yeah, well, that's the way it's looking. That's the way it's looking anyway. And it's funny. Obviously, we've had some conversation with some people in a few groups that we have, and they said, I think it was early on in the season. It would have been before round 8 for sure. But in terms of the injuries and things like that, they had some discussions with Sayers, and they basically said, we're wanting to time it, and we're going to look at the back half of the season. We're like, that's when we want to be peaking. And boy, are we peaking!
If that's all true, if it's all true, then they've nailed it. How's this comment? This is a good observation. Lazy Conqueror. Can we take a moment to recognize how the turnaround coincided with the 360 feedback from the Almost Blues brothers? We changed the club. You know what? Maybe they watched that episode and went, we need to do this.
Well, Brian Cook goes, we heard the outside noise, and we listened to part, and maybe it was the show. Maybe they listened to our show, and they
I don't
actually.
think so.
Nah, I'm a big believer that he did.
Oh, we're not drinking our own bathwater here. That's enough. All right, that's the emotional side. I said I wasn't going to talk stats, but there are a few stats here to back up that performance. We're going to talk about a few players in particular now as well that definitely need some talking about. But overall, plus 33 in contested possessions, plus 10 in clearances, plus 10 in tackles, plus 6 tackles inside 50. That is contested dominance. Or across the park. They couldn't put a scratch on us. And you go back and watch the replay, and the pressure at ground level, even if we weren't laying tackles, the pressure to make sure that we were on the kicker and on the ball carrier at all times. Jules, you said it pre-show. They were just stepping. Everyone was just rolling over, next one to help out until we caused a turnover. And it happened time and again. Leaves you susceptible, obviously, and we saw that a couple of times. They were able to slingshot and get some inside 50s. But if you can execute that more often than not, which we did, you get really good looks going inside 50.
Oh, 100%. And the thing is, when you do win it, because Collingwood are so run and gun, and Pov, you actually mentioned it at the game, they're a bit of exposed. They're a bit exposed because they've had a few more players, forward center of the ball, which is, obviously their game plan. But, if you are able to win the ball with the amount of pressure that you do put on, then obviously it does leave them a bit, leave them a bit exposed, which is good.
Interestingly, we were plus 10 for turnover. So we turned the ball over more than them. They had 4 more inside 50s, and they had 50 more uncontested possessions, which would mostly come off the back of turnover, you would think, right? But those stats there, all that proves is how well we're actually set up behind the footy to make sure that we talk about this a lot, Jules, and we use soccer as an analogy. You'll understand it, Dan, as well. But if you're playing like DM, for instance, in soccer, or you're playing in the middle of the park, you always have to be prepared for a turnover. You always got to set yourself up for a turnover to make sure that you're not punished. The last 6 weeks, we've seen that because we haven't been clean 100% of the time. We've been cleaner, but because we're taking that riskier kick, it leaves us in a more susceptible situation. The fact that they had less turnovers, more inside 50s, more uncontested possession in transition just proves that it doesn't matter once we turn over. We're working our ass off as a unit to make sure we spread back across the ground to cover gaps. Plain and simple. You don't need vision for that. That's all there. And Pommy, I know you're in the chat. If I've nailed that, let me know. I know you're the analyst here.
No, it's spot on, Joe. Like, boys, we saw, and for me, I feel like it's a simple game plan executed well. It's pressure on the ball, pressure in numbers, win the ball, find a target, hit a target, convert.
Yeah.
And we're doing it to absolute perfection. And I know we talk about him all the time, but we need to really pump Charlie even more now.
Go.
Because what we're witnessing, boys, honestly, what we're witnessing is something I don't think we're going to see for a very long time. This guy here is the best player in the comp. There you go. He's the best player in the competition by far. And Jules, I know you said once you'd love to see him on ball in the middle. I reckon he could do it.
Easy.
He didn't kick. He kicked 6 on Darcy Moore. Like any Collingwood supporter, what rebuttal do you have to that?
It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
The thing is, as well, is like obviously, a few of them were free kicks, but
They were there, though.
No,
They were
listen, it's because Charlie had him covered and scrambling.
Panic.
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
He was nervous.
Yeah.
He was nervous. That's the reason why he kicked 6 and the reason why he was giving away the free kicks.
You know, at halftime, Darcy Moore pretty much had him covered stats-wise. I think he took 4 in set marks. Charlie only had 1 goal. It looked like Darcy had him covered. The second half, if you want to watch Charlie Curnow dismantle one of the unanimously agreed upon best players in the comp, right? Go have a look at what he did to Darcy Moore in the second half. He took him out of his comfort zone, up the ground, worked his ass off to get back to the square. He's like you said, Jules, making him panic. Like the panic on him and Nathan Murphy's face whenever the ball was coming towards Charlie when he got hot was one of the funniest things I've ever seen on video. They were scrambled.
I did see one off topic. There was other funniest things I did see. Just saw it today. There was an incident, not an incident, but there was a ball up, and Maynard was having a go at Motlop, and Cripps just said, "Thanks for coming, Maynard. What are you doing? See you later. Bye." And Maynard just was fucking like a girl, just like a little girl. Just stepped aside. Yep, sorry, sir, and went back and sat down. It was a joke.
Hey, well,
It's true, man. Just bullied him.
Yeah.
We bullied him from the offset. I don't care. We did.
Next person, because we're just frothing. Next person. Let's go, boys. Nick Newman. Come on.
Oh, what a player.
MVP.
Yep, what a player.
MVP for our side.
This role
Most
that he's
underrated
playing,
player.
this role that he's playing at the back of rolling up to the back of stoppages to be that extra cover is unbelievable. It's one of the best moves I think I've ever seen. He has been fucking phenomenal the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think Doherty probably did that initially, early on in the season, but now he's sort of playing more on ball, wing, etc. So now it's Newman is obviously taking that position now as well, and just his organisation around the ball, and you know what, by foot. I mean, he's always been good, but he's been like insane by foot, hitting up targets, particularly through the corridor as well.
Jules, that's what I was saying before. Is he's the guy. I looked at a passage of play. We had the ball in defensive 50, and I think Weeders had it. And they looked to find Newey because Newey's that next kick. As much as it can happen, Newey's that next kick because of how reliable he is by foot. And the role that he's playing there is something to admire because he's just, he's having a season, boys. He's having a genuine season. I think I want to give credit. I want to give big credit to Motlop again for his response. His game. I've watched the replay a lot, and his game was very, very good. Like
and
very
just the goals.
That
it's not just the goals though.
Not even goals.
Hold on.
Mate, he slammed Cameron to the ground.
Yeah, seen it. But
triple his size.
Hey, just before we get into how much he's improved in that area, that goal, boys.
Yeah.
Jules, you know what? We speak about a lot. You know that Zach Fisher goal from round 1, which you weren't there for. You just experienced what we experienced.
Yeah.
That was that goal. I had the same feeling. I was that's when we knew. Like, that's the moment. That was like, that's it. It's done. It's over. Like, you're not touching us tonight. That was that goal. And Mott's, to his credit, he stood up the last 3 weeks massively.
Mott's goal was better though.
It was way better than Fisher's. Yeah, it was like an inside of the foot.
I'm happy then.
Did you see it? It was like an inside of the foot.
I just watched the replay.
It was weird. Good finish. But yeah, to your point, tackling, pressure.
Good finish. But who gave it to him?
I know Cripps kicked it inside 50. I can't remember who dished it to him.
Who dished it to him?
I'd say Charlie, just at a guess.
No.
I don't know.
Martin.
Jack Martin. Yeah,
mate.
Jack Martin.
So I don't know if it was that one or another one, but it might have been that one, I reckon. He literally went up for the mark, fell to the ground, got up, picked up the ball, dished it off to Motts, and then obviously Motts snapping. Like his second, third, even his running to get from D50 to offensive 50. His set shots is so reliable. He's good overhead. He's got wits about him. He can kick the ball and hit up targets. He's that genuine link man in between, obviously forward and midfield. That man we've been missing.
But it's
when he plays, he gives us so much.
See, it's the X factor that he's got that you can't replace. We don't have another player in our side that can do what Jack Martin does.
No.
From everything that you mentioned, Jules, I saw him pluck the ball with one hand like it was just
silly, nothing.
Silly.
Yeah.
But even it's his ball use. It's he's like he converts, and I just don't think we don't have another player that can make up for what Martin does, and we just need to keep him fit. We really do. And we need to capitalize rolling into the end of the season on how good his form is. We need to capitalize. That's an important thing for all our players. You look at Mott's. Always been good for me when he's played it all season, to be honest. But you look at all these players like Marchie coming in. We need to capitalize and win, because winning gives you confidence. Yeah. And these players will keep getting better, and we'll keep seeing the best of all these players if we keep winning games.
Yeah.
Jack Martin's a confidence player. So it's just good to see him string together 6 out of the last 7 weeks, whatever it is that he's played. There's a stat today around Fogarty, Cunningham, and Martin. I think since all the games they've played this year, Fogarty and Cunners 6-0, and Martin's 5-1-1. So you tell me that we're not a better side with those 3 in it every day of the week.
The thing
if we can keep Cunningham, Fogarty's always been reliable in terms of his health. I think he's genuinely turned a corner. I can't see him coming out of this side ever again with the way he's playing. But if we can keep Martin and Cunningham fit, and then you obviously mentioned Marchbank as well, who we'll get to in a minute. I thought he actually played a really, really good game on his return. Played a role effectively as you could ask for. We can keep those 3 in particular fit. Yeah. Boys, it looks so much better. It just looks so much better.
Yeah, my thinking behind that, Joe, like you said, keeping those boys fit are going to be obviously going to help a lot in terms of our chances for finals, and then obviously doing some damage in finals, especially, which I think we can. A lot of AFL footballers and even like coaching staff, the hardest position they say is the half forward line.
Yeah.
And those 3 are playing that position at the moment to an actual T.
Yeah.
In terms of their work rate, their tackling pressure, they're all hitting the scoreboard as well. And obviously the connection between forward and midfield as well. We're actually very, very lucky to that. They're hitting the peak all at the same time, and obviously being the back end of the season, hopefully they can carry it into the finals, because boys, we're going places. We're going places, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of finals, we've got a few names still to come back, which is scary. It's honestly scary. Like there's a few comments here around, the forward line right now looks really balanced. It does, but and the commentary around Harry this week has just been ridiculous. Trade him and whatnot. Just as Carlton supporters, we know what Harry brings us, right? And what he's brought us prior to that injury for that 4-week block. Imagine if Harry Mackay played on Friday night. He would have had a field day with how that ball was moving. He would have had a genuine field day. Charlie might have kicked 8, and he would have just sat deep. Seriously, Charlie, being Charlie, he's a freak. He actually did the role that H did and more. But if Harry was there, Charlie could have just sat in the goal square and kicked 10 on more. Dead set. It is scary that we're doing this without Mackay, Walsh, Chera for a half, Kennedy, Sauce, Boyd. 6 of our 22. Yep. 6 of our 22 we did that without. Insane.
Yeah. And Williams, if you want to take that into consideration, but obviously he's been out for the season.
Yeah, I'm not taking Zach into consideration this season. But if we're talking genuine 22, then yeah, absolutely. Now, Dan, Paddy Dow's been my boy since day one. I jumped off him a little bit, but I've always kept the faith. Jules was screaming.
Nah, you jumped off him.
No. Excuse me. Hold on. Hey. Don't character assassinate me and accuse me on this podcast. That happens in private. And that's actually just not true.
You can't be half and half. Sorry.
Anyone that takes the time to put an Instagram reel together of Paddy Dow highlights gets to say that Paddy Dow is their boy. I spent way too long on a Paddy Dow highlights reel package. I can tell you for a fact.
Not if you've changed your mind.
Nah, exactly. I never changed my mind. I said earlier this year that Paddy may not have it in him for a full game. What I was about to say was his impact as sub this season and I was thinking about it today. It has been effective, right? I still don't think he's ready for a full game. I still don't think that if he played start to finish against Collingwood that he would have had the same impact. But his clearance work in that last quarter and his step from stoppage, Dan, even you've got to sit there and applaud it, because I tell you what, he got us out of a bind 3 times. 3 times.
I told you this. I told you that I 100% acknowledge that he had a good game. I'll call a spade a spade. And he had... the work that he did from a clearance perspective was fantastic. I feel as though Paddy Dow still, I don't know whether he, I don't want to talk negative today. I don't. But I just feel as though his inability to defend, and I know you're going to start rebutting now, but his
I'm not.
inability to tackle and defend is going to hurt us and can hurt us because of that side of his game. Because like the likes of DeGoey, they did get away from us from a clearance perspective a lot more in that third and fourth quarter.
Yeah,
They
I
were
think it
working
depends.
out. They were working out of the stoppage, Joe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
There were some
I think it
tackles.
depends.
There were some tackles that didn't stick. 100%, I can see that. But you still got to give him credit where it's due. And he came in for a bloke that was BOG to that point, and he was effective. That's all I'm saying. He was effective.
I 100% agree with you.
For me,
100%
you
agree
need.
with you.
This is the thing. Everyone's saying his papers are stamped, right? They might be, but it scares me because you don't want to lose players that can come in and play a role. Because if Paddy Dow goes out, who are you bringing in to play that role? As just an impact player or a sub for a quarter or whatever
It's
it
just
is.
I'm still not.
I think there's players to do that.
I'm just still not convinced. Like, Joe, how many players like this have we spoken about where they have an element, but it just doesn't stack up to what we want to achieve, which is the overall holy grail?
It's fair. It's fair.
And I'm just thinking about what type of player and what depth do you need? And I understand he played brilliantly, but I just don't know. And I just have too many doubts with the standards I now have for this playing group and this football club. Like a Zach Fisher, like a Corey Durden. And you mentioned as well with the Ollie Hollands. Joe, you're still not convinced on Ollie Hollands.
Well, no, hey, to be fair on Ollie, I was harsh on him early. He burnt the ball a couple of times. By the end of that game, he had one of the best games for the club. He's had one of the best games.
You got to look at it.
I think he'll get a Rising Star nomination this week.
There was a little patch there. We're talking about Josh Honey, and everyone's, this is 2 years ago. Like, I just think, don't get me wrong, and I don't take away how brilliant he did play when he did come as a sub with Chera, but I just have more doubts than anything over him.
Yeah,
fair enough.
The way I look at Dow is I think he does obviously have potential. That's the reason why we got him. Whether he's not living up to the expectations or the heights, I'd say that most people would have seen him possibly be able to produce, particularly obviously early on in his career. But now I sort of look at him for this year as, obviously with the injuries that we do have, obviously cover, because I still think that he can do a sort of settle field for us like last year, to be honest with you. But in the off season, I know, I really don't want to be speaking about off season, now, considering that we should be playing finals.
Then we won't.
Huh?
Then we won't.
Nah, I'll say it anyway. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because, we do have players in the reserves like a Carroll and like a Binns, for example, who hasn't played his first game, but has been playing really, really well, really consistent footy. And from all reports, averaging probably almost 30 possessions a game and probably almost a goal a game, I reckon, at least from what I've seen. And they're sort of getting in possibly Dow's possibly getting in the way of their development as well in terms of trying to get at least a couple of games in as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we should be, considering, I guess, in terms of the calculations towards Dow.
I'll tell you something. We'll move on from Paddy Dow after this, but I look at Voss, and Voss is selecting him for a reason. He's obviously not shit. He's obviously got something that can contribute to what we're doing at the moment and the system and how we're playing. So I can acknowledge that. All right. It's just
he's not best 22. I'm not saying he's best 22, but he had a big impact.
He had a great game. He had a good impact.
When they were coming, they were trying to get momentum. He had impact in moments where I went, you know what, Paddy, for all your deficiencies tonight, in a game like this, when we needed someone to step up, you've done your job, kid. That's all. All right, Blues Qs. If you're watching live, leave us some questions if you've got any. Actually, Order here, I think he left another donation. He did, and we'll kick off with Order. Another 15. You're unbelievable, mate. You don't have to bankroll us. It's all right. Like, you can watch for free, but we do appreciate it. Does Ed Curnow come in for Chera? Do we have any other options? Well, it's a good time to be talking about it. We just spoke about Dow. I feel like it's either Dow or Curnow for Ches this week. I don't think Walshy's going to get. Well, you know what? Say I don't think Walshy's going to get up. He's a freak. We've got a 9-day break. He might. He genuinely might. So if it's not Walsh, I don't know. I still think it's Ed Curnow for me. But I'd like to get your thoughts, boys, against the Saints early.
I wouldn't I don't want Ed Kerno, just because I think if he has played I wouldn't say his best footy, but best footy of the year, I reckon he's probably played half forward. And if you want a player that's going to be playing midfield, I'd say Dow has to get, has to put his hand up and obviously take that position, to be honest with you. And considering like he's still young, obviously 23 as well, I think I just want to get games into him, whether it's for us in terms of obviously building us for next year or, looking towards trade as well, potentially.
Can I propose something to you guys? Tell me what you think. Do you look at potentially playing Cunningham more in there?
I mean, he already
looking at things a little bit differently and have like. I know that someone has to obviously come in.
It works.
But you keep
nah. Cunner's role at the moment works. You can't tinker with what's working because then all of a sudden you throw a few other things out. It's got to be a straight swap for Chera's role, and Cunningham can't. I don't want to see him play any other role than what he's playing at the moment.
But neither of those players bring the polish that Adam Chera brings in that midfield.
It's not to say
irrespective of the clearances and work that he does, and I just feel as though Ed for me, the pace that we want to play is just not with it, in my opinion.
It's not to say that Cunningham and Fogarty shouldn't spend more time in the middle, right? It's more, which they will. They have to spend more time at centre bounce to help cover for Chera. But I just don't want Cunningham playing Chera's role, if that makes sense, Dan.
No, I get it. I'm just proposing something, looking at a different avenue potentially.
Yeah. All right, off the Instagram. Now I don't know if there's any questions here. It's probably just going to be a lot of blowing from listeners, so I'll roll through them. Jimmy Gregg, yes. Zainab, who's watching now, Flaggers. Rick Palumbo, how important is Jack Martin? He rarely gets beat. I can't believe Honey was ahead of him for so long. That's a good one. What else we got here? Jim Aggio, feel like the entire AFL are against us at times, but this was superb. I think the players we had out and still got the job done. And even when Chera has been huge and was huge to that point in the game, it's true. Harry Brick, where's the beanie? It's gone.
I've launched it 8 times.
The Apsy, your mate, bit of parental advision coming up here. Get a dog up here, you fucking cockroach motherfuckers. The exterminator, the exterminator is in town. It's very good. That's good. Juninho, he says nothing left to prove. We've beaten the first 2 on the ladder. It's true. Bradley Cass, who was on last week. Brad, shout out to you. Scoreboard pressure. I said we needed to make the most of our chances, and we did. Joel Swartz, Charlie's a cheat code. Yeah, there's a lot here. I wish I could get through them all, but I can't. Last one. Winter says, I expect to see Dan beanieless tomorrow night. Well, you got it.
Does it not, just quickly with all that, boys, do you not look at last year to this year and now look at from a different perspective and go, we've definitely bettered ourselves from last year?
Without a doubt in my mind.
Correct.
Because I said this after I think it was the Fremantle game when we spoke about it. I said the difference between how we're playing now and how we're playing in the first 10 weeks of last year and why this feels so different is that we are not allowing teams in. Yeah. It is 4 quarters, boys. It's 4 quarters. Yeah. We haven't been behind at a break since the Gold Coast game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's insane.
The game's played on our terms.
It's crazy.
The game's played on our terms.
Oh, mate.
That's what the game's played on.
I don't think Collingwood got on more than a 2-goal run all night on Friday. Like that is ridiculous to think about. These are uncharted this is uncharted territory for us, boys. It honestly is. Anyone that doesn't believe this now, I don't know what else there is to be said or what else you need to see. This is different. You can see it's different.
Yeah. For me, it's the 4 quarters thing that you mentioned, Joe. That's the biggest one. I've not seen it.
You were screaming for 4 quarters last year. I remember it after the Hawthorn game, Port Adelaide.
I know.
This is something you've been banging on about for over a year now.
Because my thing is, you can be in control for a quarter and be like, obviously last year we were really dominant in that quarter. But like I said, especially if you play against good sides, 1 quarter isn't enough, even if you're as dominant like we were last year. And obviously over the last 6 weeks, it's been full quarter efforts. Obviously they might have had a patch of 2 goals here and there, but then we put a goal on, maybe 2, maybe 3, and just continue on our merry way. And hey, it's been instrumental.
But playing the way we want to play, and having a brand and having identity that we looked to establish last year, and now we're well and truly seeing this over the last 6 weeks. But at the end of the day, you can only be measured by where you finish and what you're doing. And the biggest thing is we are belting teams. We're putting our foot on their throat and belting them.
It's clicked. There's an understanding that it's not one until it's one. Like, you can see that has clicked for the first time with this group. Is you can't take your foot off. You need to make sure you've got control of the game. You've got control of yourselves. You've got control of your opposition from start to finish. And we're seeing that week in, week out, whether it was the West Coast game, whether when we were down to 1 on the bench, they still couldn't outscore us. Like, they couldn't win that last quarter. I know it's poor opposition, but we were depleted that day, boys. And it's a game I like to look at, because it's an easy one where you can take the foot off and go, you know what, we'll relax for next week. Nah, Weeders screaming at the end of that West Coast game. I remember it, to Govern Kemp to fill a hole when we're 80 points up. Yeah. Like, they get it. It's clicked. It's up. It's in here is what we've spoken about all year. They haven't had it. It's finally clicked. I feel like they've got it now. I feel like they've got it.
It's almost like as if we've come to the realization that if we're not going to have it on our terms, the opposition aren't going to have it on theirs.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's an arm wrestle.
Yep. Votes. Take it away. Dan, you can do ours because we've got the same.
Yep. So I went 1 for Martin. Like I said, there is no player in our side that can produce what he produces, and the guy was absolutely class. Kicked 3 goals. How many touches did he have? Joe, stats? Who cares? How's this? Who cares? Because it's all effective. The guy was unbelievable. Newey, for me, I was screaming. I was screaming from level 4 MVP. I was also screaming, Dacos, no Brownlow votes today, buddy. Yep.
I think Newman had the job. I think Newman actually had the job on Dacos at times, to be honest, at the back of that stoppage.
Wrong.
From memory. He didn't?
Wrong. The team had the job on Dacos.
I know. That we had multiple players that rolled through, but I'm pretty sure Newey was on him at one stage. He toweled him up. I remember a moment where it was like Newman's got him covered. Anyway, go, continue.
And then Charlie, the God. We'll call him God for now.
He's bigger.
God.
Zeus.
Re. Jules. You had Weeders in there, which I think is a good pick as well, to be honest.
I mean, obviously Newman with a 1. I mean, his performance speaks for himself, and obviously we've spoken to him. Obviously, in extends as well. Weeders, I just felt like as if just the manner in which he's able to control and dictate terms from the back ends, in terms of obviously instructing players, his interceptability, as well as ability to win one-on-ones. He's up there with the best. I actually think he's the best. I think I saw stats the other day, actually. I think he's the best one-on-one defender in the comp.
He's
and it's I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you.
It's not.
Yep. Like, it's,
I think he's only lost something like 8% of his one-on-one contests all year. Something stupid.
Which is, it's stupid. It's genuinely ridiculous. And then Charlie does what Charlie does, It's his world. Everyone's just living in it. He's just that kind of player, isn't he?
Charlie does what Charlie does. I'll tell you what, this Almost Blues Brothers MVP leaderboard, 6 weeks ago, Chera had this sewn up. Charlie, after a couple of big performances, has closed that gap, something stupid. And with Chera out a few weeks, I reckon Charlie's got his hands on this, boys. Late season push.
But can we just acknowledge how good Chera's 2.5-ish quarters were, that he would have genuinely been 3 or 2. It was,
you know what?
He got us going.
Before, it wasn't just that he got us going. He kept them away from getting any momentum. In the after halftime, he played for maybe 5 minutes or what it was. But there was a moment where they had it on their half-forward line. I think it was, I can't remember who had the ball for them, but I remember Chera on the mark. He was on the mark. The player tried to get closer to him to get as much meterage on the ball as possible, and Chera smothered this ball.
Yeah,
Pendles was able to turn it over, regain it. We had a stoppage from there. That there was what we missed from Chera in that second half because he did it all game. Those little 1%ers, and it's what he's been doing for the last 6 weeks, among many, many other things that he's been doing. But those little 1%ers are what I believe is what someone like Paddy Dow probably still lacks, Dan, to your credit. He was in 40% game time. He was incredible. He set that win up for us, kind of like what Walshy did the week prior, to be honest, against the Eagles, even though the Eagles were a bit of a different opposition. All right. That was fun. That was just fun. Now, I don't enjoy listening to this one. I'm sure she enjoyed recording it. Libby's last word.
Everyone, it's Libby with Libby's last words, and this is what I thought of the game. What a game. What a game. Honestly, starting the match, Collingwood is my predictions. Collingwood winning. But we were looking not the strongest at the start, but we soon became, our pressure was just on point. Our pressure was probably the best thing about the game. And honestly, in the fourth quarter, I honestly thought Collingwood were going to come back, but we kept the pressure on and we just absolutely dominated it. Considering we didn't have Walshy, Chera, Paddy Dow, and Fogarty I must say they did pretty good. But I'm just mind blown. Our defense was great. I just can't get this over my head. Like, we're top 8. Hopefully we play finals this year. Keep the streak going. Our winning streak. Collingwood, all the Collingwood supporters are saying that it was Collingwood versus the umpires. But they had more free kicks, so they can't talk. But anyways, the umpires were very good. A lot of free kicks for us. But it was just amazing. As soon as the ball came forward, we just applied the pressure and just got some easy goals. And I was so happy with the boys' performance. And that was probably the most nervous game I've watched this year. As you know, not even having Chera or Walsh, we just played absolutely amazing. Pressure was the best thing we've done all year. We've improved it, and it was just amazing to watch. What a game. What a game. Vossi, you should be proud of your boys. They played amazing. I'm happy for them. I'm proud of them. And I'm still just amazed. I'm still mind blown that we beat the Pies. Sorry, Pies, but you're really bad. Like, Colton beat you. Colton. But anyways, that's what I thought about the most amazing game. Go the Blues!
Livy said something there about she was scared they'd come back in the last quarter. I remember, I'll never ever forget the last 10 minutes of that game in the MC in our section. And I'm sure it was like this all over the ground. There was a bloke that came from 3 rows back, climbing over people, going, "How long left?" When there was 16 minutes to go. That's how stressed we were. For literally the whole quarter, we were refreshing the app, the AFL app, until there was 3 minutes left, and we all just sat back and went, "Oh my god, we're actually gonna do this." That will never that 20 minutes will never ever leave me. Never.
Probably the longest 20 minutes of my life.
Genuinely. My partner, Gabrielle, who never watches this show, she refuses to give us support, but she's just commented for the first time. And she's left this. Hashtag BBL. And I just texted her and asked, I said, "What's BBL?" And she said, "Bring back Levi." And she said, "Purely for my entertainment." And she means Levi Casbolt. This is how much my partner knows football. Levi Casbolt's got nothing to do with this episode. Levi Casbolt hasn't been on our list for 2 years and he's ready to retire. And the only commentary that she wants to give us is "Bring back Levi." Get back in your box. Go to bed. All right. Dan, you know what? We're gonna break this up a bit. We're not gonna jump straight into the preview.
Keep calm. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10.
No!
love that when she says Jan, it actually sounds like Dan. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Well, boys, today I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't want to do this segment this week, but to the listeners, I have something. So do they want to hear something I'm not happy about? Because I'm actually happy.
They're gonna say yes, so just do it.
Don't be rude. I'm not happy about you now. All right. Well, boys, you've all been to my house. All right. And it's newish, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's winter. Ducted heating. Not working.
Oh well.
No. That's not the thing that's pissed me off.
It's been rather warm the last couple of days anyway, Payson.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you know
Put a
what pissed
jumper
me
on.
off?
Put a jumper on.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, cool. The issue is I've gone back and I've asked someone to go and check out the system in the roof. Bloke's gone up there to check the heater to fix this issue. Can't access it. Who builds a house and has a manhole that you can't access something? So now I've got to pay someone out. Joe, I've had 2 people go up there and 2 people, they go, you need to have a midget going through there. So now in here, they've got to put another access manhole to the thing. That's what I'm not happy about. Whoever built this house, sort it out for your next builds because you can't fix mine now.
You know what I say? Whoever bought a house that they didn't have inspected properly and only finds out about this 3 years later, it's your problem. Get over
Work
it.
it out.
How hard
Well,
is it?
you're asking me what I'm pissed off about.
Should be pissed off about yourself, man. Should have got it right.
Oh, because you do an inspection of your manhole.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't usually, but yeah, that's fair enough.
Exactly.
That's a fair point. All right, boys. Now we're blown heaps tonight, and yet we're the form team of the comp. All of a sudden, we've won 6 straight, and we're just knocked off first. But here's the problem: there's still 4 weeks left, and we can still miss finals. Right? So let's just keep it in perspective a little bit.
I thought
We've
we
got
were
another
being
week.
negative tonight.
No. We're not being negative. I'm just saying it's a nice little lead in into the fact that we've got another game next week. And it's a game against who has traditionally been a bogey side. And I'm pretty sure our bogey player, Tim Membry, is actually back for this one as well, as he usually is for his 6 goal haul.
I genuinely just checked their team that started. He wasn't there.
I heard the other week he's ready for this week. And Max King's going to be back as well. So we've got some headaches going into this one against a bogey side, right? So that's fine. And they had a good win today against the Hawks. So it's the Saints next week. When is it? Sunday? I don't even know.
I'll tell you something. This is the difference of what that lid coming off today.
Go again.
That's too far now. The is because we're the team to beat. We're the favorites for this game. Okay? But I have no doubt that we can handle the pressure now. And that was a big thing and a big question mark as to over this side, as to can they handle the pressure when the pressure's on? And I've got no doubt in my mind that this group can handle the pressure of belting the Saints. Wilkie, if he's at home, I don't think he's wanting to come to match day.
Nope.
How many Mitch Lewis kick on him today?
Not sure. I didn't watch any of that Saints game today.
Okay, tell me how much. Because, well, you know what? Whatever.
Have a guess. Why don't you guess? Because you love Mitch Lewis.
I love Mitch Lewis. I really do. Mitch Lewis would have kicked 3 goals. 3 goals, 1.
2 goals, 2. So he had 4 scoring shots. You're right about that. Luke Bruce kicked 6.
Done.
Huge.
Freak.
Sorry, irrelevant.
Yeah,
You're coming up against Charlie Curnow, buddy.
Yep.
This is the thing. But boys, for me, it's more of the same. More of the same. Continue what we are doing, because with the Saints, this could be a pretty high score.
Without watching them today and just looking at this stat sheet and this score line, 122-93. They conceded 93 points to Hawthorn today. Like, right, you kicked a winning score, good on you, but you're about to come up against one of the best defenses in the comp and arguably the most in-form attacking side in the comp in Carlton. I reckon they're going to get pantsed. I reckon we're going to genuinely beat them by 8 goals next week.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a big game, 5th v
It's
7th.
huge. It's huge.
Like in the grand scheme of things, it's a massive game.
This
But you know
basically
what it is,
sets.
boys? I'll tell you something. Sorry,
This will
Joe.
almost set the top 6. I would say this game.
Yeah, but you know what the Saints don't do? They don't bring the pressure.
When they play us, they tend to, for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, but they don't generally. They
Yeah.
really don't.
I heard a rumor Steele might be out.
That'd be nice. That would be nice.
You know who
Is that
hurts us?
true? If anyone can obviously verify that in the comments, please do. But I think I saw a picture or some footage of a St Kilda player. Just quickly, it was during the show, so I didn't really get good obviously vision of it. But I'm pretty sure he hit a player. I'm pretty sure it was. Oh my god, I'm pretty sure it was Sicily. So yeah, if anyone can verify that, please let us know.
Can I tell you why I feel like we're going to win? Because I don't think Membry's playing, and he normally
No. We do, this just tells me you don't listen. We just said Membry's
Where have you
probably
been?
back.
Are you sure?
You don't listen.
Is he playing?
You just switch off at times. You switch off.
At times.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Now, just quickly, a little bit off topic. Daniel Petrov, the founder of Vortep, has just texted me.
What?
And he says, give a shout out to Emma Proud if she's watching or listening. Vortep says thanks for the online order. So he must think that Emma's a faithful listener of the Almost Blues Brothers. Here we go. Petrov watching it live now. Petrov, don't text me. Just get in the YouTube.
In the chat.
Get in the chat.
Involved.
Just get in the chat. There you go. Yeah, listen. It's a danger game in a sense, just because it's the Saints, and for whatever reason they've had it over us. But we've been knocking off these mental hurdles now. Enough, Petrov, with the texts. Oh my god!
Turn your phone off, Joe.
It's not
We'll
my
put that
phone.
in the feedback. Put
It's
that
my
in 360
computer.
feedback.
It's my
Oh,
computer.
yeah, man. Where's accountability?
It's my computer. Stop
Gone
texting
off
me,
2-3
Petrov.
times already.
Stop texting me. I've lost my train of thought. Bogey side. It's a danger game because it's our bogey side, but we have been knocking off mental hurdles of late. And I think this is another one that we just got to get past, that this group's got to get past. And it's not one that I want to see us get past by the skin of our teeth. I want to see the same brand. I want to see the same way we play. I want to see 4 quarters. I want to see us put them to the sword by 4 to 6 goals minimum is what I want to see.
The Saints are a team that I feel shouldn't be in that top 8 come finals. So I think we need to show everyone why. That's I'm going to leave it at.
Yeah, I agree. Even to be fair, in terms of the top 8 or makings of the top 8, there's probably 2 sides that I reckon won't make it. I reckon it's a St Kilda and potentially GWS. So I think there's still movement there. The last 4 rounds of the season, and I think we should be slapping on at least a 4, 5, 6 goal game against St Kilda, and it should be pretty convincing. To be fair, no matter what team they do put out, considering the last 6 weeks we've had.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. We said we weren't going to do the ins and outs this week because it doesn't matter. But obviously, and we've already spoke about Chera with Dow, so that's probably the only one that I see. But if there's any others, I really don't care who's in or out at the moment, because right now it's about system, right now it's about team, and anyone that steps in, they're going to play a role. And we've got confidence as a supporter base. They've got confidence as a playing group, and I'm sure there's confidence across every level of that club that whoever steps out on the field at 3:20 on Sunday against the Saints is going to play the exact same way as what we've seen the last 6 weeks. It's pressure, it's intensity, it's effort, it's intent. It's all of that in spades. So let's just hope and pray that they keep bringing it, because if they do, I will tell you now, it's gonna take a really, really good side to beat us on our day. If we're off, we can be beat. When we're on, we cannot be beat, and take that to the bank. Boys, take it to the bank. We're that team. We are that team. Said it earlier in the show. We are finally that team at this time of the year. Telling you now. This has been a pleasure.
Most enjoyable show.
Here we go. He made himself an account. This is Daniel Petrov, the founder of Vortep, vortep.official on Instagram. as well as the same as his YouTube handle here. Go follow Vortep. He's got a giveaway actually at the moment. Vortep's the clothing brand that we wear that sponsors this show. He's got a giveaway going for one more day. So if you haven't, go to the giveaway post. Here it is, actually. I've got it from last week. Last day that you can do this. $150 giveaway on Vortep gear. Head to their Instagram, like and share this post that you see, and tag as many friends as you can. Happy with that, Petrov? Boys, pleasure.
Good at boys. Love that.
Everyone,
It's been good.
everyone that's stuck with us for 101 episodes, I think this is about to get really, really fun.
If you haven't seen yet, go to our reactions when the siren go to our Instagram and see our reactions when the siren goes.
I tried to get that video on this laptop before, but I couldn't get it. Yeah, we lost it. Even Jules.
Yep.
Jules usually very reserved come final siren. Jules lost it. Did you not, Jules?
How could you not, mate, beating the Filth like that? Serious?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And until next week, up the fucking
Fucking
baggers.
baggers.
On the baggers.